guys go. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight, and welcome to the District 6 Budget Town Hall. My name is James Kitchen. I serve as Special Assistant to County Executive Pittman, and I'm going to be your moderator this evening. So this town hall is part of our annual Budget Town Hall series. It's your opportunity to let county leaders know what you and your communities think should be funded in the county's fiscal year 26 budget. So this evening, we will hear opening remarks from County Councilwoman Lisa Rodvian, and then County Executive Pittman. Budget Officer Chris Trumpauer will share a presentation about the county's investments and outlook for the fiscal year 26 budget. And after the presentation, we will open the floor for public testimony. So without any further ado, we will let Councilwoman Rodvian give some opening remarks.
Thank you and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lisa Rodvian. I represent District 6, which you are currently sitting in. I hope you're enjoying your time here, and I hope you enjoy living here if this is your home. I really just want to say thank you for coming out. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of folks that I know by first name, which is really wonderful. And if I don't know you, hopefully I will get to meet you soon. As you might be able to tell, there's a little bit of bug going through the District 6 office. My legislative aide is actually home with COVID. I hope she doesn't mind that I just told a room full of people that. But I do not have COVID. I tested. Stuart's like moving his chair away from me. But thank you so much for coming out here. I'm going to be quick because I understand there's a lot of folks signed up to testify. Chances are really good that if you're testifying for something that's been a regular part of the budget, I probably support it. But I'm grateful to hear what you've got to say. And I know we may face some additional challenges of this year because of what's happening at the federal government. And I have begun talking with my colleagues about ways that we may need to backfill what if we lose from the federal government. So just know that that is something on my radar and on my colleagues' radars as well. I will leave it at that. Thank you very much for being here. And I'll pass it off to County Executive Stuart Pittman.
So I'll be very brief also. I hear we have about 80 people signed up to speak. I will tell you, however, that you have 2 minutes, but that the less time you speak, the more money you get. So, so if somebody's already said what you're going to say, we appreciate it if you keep it brief. It just means that we're out of here sooner. I think we're probably getting kicked out at about 9 o'clock. Usually that's how it is in the schools. But all I want to say is that most of you have been to one of these before. I've been to almost 50, I think, now over the last 6 years. And this is the last one this year. We have one more online in Spanish tomorrow night. And we really do listen. We really do. I'm very much affected by what I hear. And I'm an old community organizer who appreciates it when people mobilize. I'm glad you're here mobilizing amongst each other for whatever the issue is, and you are also pitching to your neighbors what you think is important. So I know a lot of you will walk out of here, you'll walk in here with one issue and you'll walk out with about 5 that you really want to advocate for, and that's fine. Chris, your former county council representative from this district and your friendly neighborhood budget officer, he likes to describe himself, will lead you through the situation for the county this year as the budget office sees it, as I see it. And I will reiterate what Councilwoman Rodvian said about keeping an eye on what could be cut at the federal level. We have a detailed list of all the federal funds that we get that go to all of our agencies, and I'll tell you that the majority of that is health and human service work that the most vulnerable of our residents are the most affected by. And so as those things happen, we have to, as the last level of government that can step in to support our residents, that's our number one priority, is to help the folks in the most need. And I know many of you are advocating for that. So just keep that in mind, and we will too, and pray for better times and big budgets and lots of revenue and being able to fund everything, because that's what we want to do. So thank you for coming.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Chris Trumbauer, and if I used to represent you on the County Council, hello there, I'm sorry. The good news is you have much better representation now, so you should all be thankful. I'm going to give a presentation. There's a lot of information in here. I'm going to go fast. If you've been to any of the town halls, it's the same presentation. If you're Mike Shire, you've seen 6 of these already, and you could probably give it yourself. But it's some important information in here, and at the end, we're going to talk about what the fiscal outlook is. So let's all buckle in and go through this. First thing is, this is a timeline, okay? And the important thing is, see where we are, where it's circled. We're still in the budget development. We're still getting the internal budget requests, reviewing them. No decisions have been made yet, okay? Now, that's important because the county executive feels very strongly. He wants to hear from the constituents before he has to make any decisions, so everything can be considered in his deliberation. Next slide is going to show you our process. It's color-coded here, right? So the blue is when we develop the budget with the executive branch. You can see there's a couple boxes there. On May 1st is when we hand it off to the county council. So that's why there's the color change. So we introduce the proposed budget and all the good stuff in it to the county council. Then they have 45 days to review it, do amendments. The auditor looks at it all, and then we can propose supplemental amendments based on their review, and everything has to get wrapped up by June 15th, and then it goes into effect on July 1st. Okay, so that's a little bit of a path of how the budget works. It takes a long time, but I just summarized it in 20 seconds. Okay, the next thing is, this is where the money comes from. Okay, this is a pie chart. Look at the 2 biggest slices, or the red and the blue. That's property taxes and income taxes. We get about 3/4 of our county revenue from those 2 sources. So thank you for paying your taxes. It really is what makes all the services happen. There are some other slices there that are very important. We get state funding, which I'll talk about in a minute. We get some local sales taxes. We get some fees and services and license and permits and things like that. But the bulk of the majority, everything comes from that income tax and property tax. Next slide, where's the money go? There's one giant half of the pie there, right? That's the Board of Education. So about half of our funding, it's $2.3 billion total in the current year. About half of that goes to our public education system. So pre-K through 12, making sure our 80,000 plus students get the best education they can, funds our educators and everybody else involved in the school system. So that's very important. But you can see the other big slices there, like public safety, our general government or government operations. You see some component units like the library and the community college. They're getting a lot of funding, but it looks small because everything is dwarfed to that 50% piece of the pie. All right, so what's in the current year budget? We like to remind people before we look ahead to the next year, what's in this year. Some really good stuff. The county executive and the council last year prioritized trying to do something to help our police department recruit more officers. So we raised the starting salary to $70,000. That's the highest of all the counties in the state. We also increased our operational funding to both the police and fire departments so that they could do more things like patrols and staffing. We have a rainy day fund, a reserve fund. This is money we hold in reserve for the next economic downturn, so we don't have to do furloughs and layoffs and close libraries and things like that. We have some money to plug the gaps. We keep that at the maximum level. It was about $171 million this year. And then during the pandemic, we started a lot of new programs to help people. It turns out some of those programs weren't specifically related to COVID, and they are helping people still. Now, the federal money went away because it was temporary, but we have started to transition some of those things over to the county budget so we can keep them going. These are things like food pantries and gun violence interruption and health services out in the community. Also, we fully funded the Board of Ed's compensation request for educators, which is very important and something that we prioritize every year. Oh, look at that. It seems like there's some teachers in the audience tonight. That's nice. And then the last thing is we maintained our AAA bond rating from all 3 bond rating agencies. That's really important because it shows that we are a good investment. The county gets the best possible interest rates. And the reason we get that rating is because of the strong conservative budgeting that we've done in the past. Okay, we got a fan. Councilwoman Rodvian is a big fan of that. Okay, the next slide is going to show you, this is fun because we get to compare ourselves to our neighbors, right? So this is our tax rates that we pay for property tax. And we are the gold bar right in the middle there, okay? We pay 98.3 cents per $100 of assessed value. Now, I know your assessed value, that you may get something in the mail that says your house is worth a whole lot more, right? And you're like, oh my God, my tax bill is going to go up. If you have the homestead credit, it can only go up 2% a year, okay? So even if your house value went up 20% on your new assessment, because of the county homestead credit, that's only going to go up 2% every year. So that protects you. That's really important. But nonetheless, if you just look at the rate that we're paying, we're right about in the middle there. We're 11th out of 24 counties. But all of our comparable counties, the central Maryland counties like Baltimore County and Howard and Prince George's and Montgomery and Frederick and all those, they're on the left side of us. That means they're paying a higher tax rate. And if you have friends in Baltimore City, look at them. They're paying over $2 where we're paying 98.3 cents, okay? So not a bad deal to live in Anne Arundel. This one is going to show you our income tax, okay? Now, income tax is an even better deal. We're the gold bar here, and all those counties on this side, they're paying more. Most of them are paying 3.2% on all of their income. That is the maximum allowed by law, okay? So we call them maxed out counties. Again, all of our neighbors are over there, Howard, Baltimore County, the city, all those guys, right? There's only 4 counties that are paying less than us: Cecil, Garrett, Talbot, and Worcester. Those are Eastern Shore counties and Western Maryland counties, so nothing like us. So that means we're getting a really good deal. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Chris, what are all these weird dotted lines up there? Okay, so we have a progressive income tax structure in this county. That means that depending on what level of income, you're going to pay a different rate. So for all income that you make, taxable income, that's $50,000 or less, you're paying 2.7%. If you make income more than that, between $50,000 and $400,000, which is a lot, you're paying 2.94. So that's kind of our average rate. And then any income you make above that 400 as an individual, then you are kicking into our 3.2%, right? Now, the way that works is, let's say you make $150,000 a year. You're going to pay 2.7% on the first $50,000 of that, and then that next 100, you're going to pay 2.94, but you never touch the 3.2%. Get how that works? Only one other county does that. It's Frederick County. And the reason we're able to do the progressive tax structure is because County Executive Pittman thought that a bus driver shouldn't pay the same rate as a billionaire, and he got a state bill passed, and now everybody has the ability to do that, which we think is pretty cool. Okay, so another source of income we get is from real estate activity. This is recordation and transfer tax. Now, we show this on the graph because remember the housing bubble like 20 years ago, right? It went way up and then it went way down, and so we saw that. And then, a few good years of kind of incremental growth. And then a few years back, we see this giant leap up again. And we were smart, and we were like, okay, that's not sustainable. So we didn't budget to that level. We knew it would come back down, and it certainly did. And that's okay. We're not running a deficit or anything because we budgeted to the more natural level. But the problem is, just 3 or 4 years ago, like in fiscal year 22, we were getting $200 million of revenue from our real estate taxes. Now we're only getting about 120. So that's $80 million less than what we were getting a few years ago. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of things we could fund. And again, not in a deficit situation, but I sure would like to have that $80 million as your budget officer so we could do a lot more with it, right? Okay, next slide is just going to show you visually where our rainy day fund is. So the orange bar is what the maximum is allowed to be, and the blue is what we are funding. And you can see throughout this administration, our policy has been to fully fund the reserve fund. Next series of slides, we're going to go through some of the investments that we've made recently. And for all of these, we're going to look back for the last 20 years, okay? Last 20 years. So we're going to start in 2005, and then we're going to compare as a baseline all the way back there. So this is public safety funding, okay? Red is the fire department, gold is the sheriff, blue is police. came up with that color scheme myself. So what you can see here is that, there was some incremental growth for a long time, and then the dotted line in the middle there, that's when our friend Pittman was elected. And you can see dramatic increase, and that's because this administration has said, hey, there was some underfunding, and we're going to increase funding. And so for our public safety, you can see that really increased, and for the police and fire department in particular, their funding has increased since 20 years by about 75%, which is much needed. Other slide, this is going to show you rec and parks. And now this tells you an interesting story because, again, looking back 20 years, you can see that there was the Great Recession and funding actually went down. Okay, so when the county was in a bad shape, they were making cuts, and unfortunately rec and parks received a lot of those cuts. It gradually recovered over the years, but then again, when this administration came in, the county executive said, we need to better fund our park operations, so there was a jump up. Now then there was a dip because there was a COVID pandemic and things were closed, summer camps and pools and everything was closed, so they needed less funding. But then all of a sudden you see there was another big ramp up the last couple of years, which incidentally coincides with Director Jessica Lays' tenure. Jessica is in the audience here, so if you like Rec and Parks funding, you can thank her. Next one is Board of Education funding. We talk a lot about Board of Ed, and I'm going to try and get this through, but you can just see again, last few years we've dramatically increased funding. This is not only because of the state mandate of the Blueprint for Education, but because we believe that we need more special ed teachers and behavioral health and bilingual facilitators and all of those things. This slide is going to show you a really interesting story. So this is Health and Human Services departments. There's 3 departments here. The one in the kind of dark purple, that's our Department of Health. The reason there's a giant ramp up in the last year or two is because we've started a bunch of those new programs and we have transitioned them from federal funding to county funding. So we're keeping them going, and that's taking a lot more money, but they're important programs that are helping a lot of people. And then finally, this is going to show you affordable housing funding. And when county executive was elected, you see there was a jump up, but then there was a really big jump up when we started the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's a dedicated funding source. The revenue from that comes from a extra little bit more tax for real estate transactions that are over $1 million. And so we thought, okay, that makes sense. Let's have that little excise tax on the most expensive houses, and we'll go to help affordable housing, kind of spreads the wealth around a little bit. All right, so I know what you're thinking. Okay, Chris, that all sounds great, but what do we got locally in District 6? Boy, have I got some good news for you. Look at all these projects that are in the current year budget for District 6. Your council member is a terrific advocate for your district. We got transportation projects. We got watershed improvement projects. We got school construction. We got lots of recs and park stuff. So a whole lot of things going on in District 6. All right, so now we're going to talk about the crystal ball. What do we see when we look ahead? So I have some good news and bad news. The good news is if you block out Washington, D.C., and you kind of just look at our fiscal foundation, we're doing really great, okay? So we're about halfway through this year. Our revenue is coming in right on how we projected, okay? Everything looks solid. Property rates or property values are increasing. Wage growth is slowing, but it's still there. And we expect and hope that the real estate market will continue to gradually recover. All that looks good. The bad news is our friends over in the state have a little bit of a structural deficit, and they're dealing with that. And of course, there will be a little bit of a trickle-down effect from some of the state funding that comes to us. We're likely going to get a little bit less this year. Now, what the governor has proposed is a lot less worse than it could have been, and there are ways that we will probably get some increased revenue, but it won't quite offset the reductions in state funding that we're expecting. And then the big uncertainty is we have a new president. He has, shall we say, different policies than the previous president, and some of them are going to have an effect on our local economy. So we're talking about, well, just this week, if you happen to follow the news, we were going to put tariffs, and then we weren't. Stock market went crazy, but all of that could have an effect on inflation. We're also hearing about changes in the federal workforce. There's a lot of federal workers in Anne Arundel County. So if their jobs get eliminated or their agencies get moved out of the area, that's going to affect our bottom line as well. And then the increased deportation activity could disrupt the labor force. So there's a lot of things that could or might even probably happen that would have a negative effect on our county revenue structure. So we're keeping an eye on that. And then on the other side of the books, the expenditures, this is money that goes out the door from the county. So we have done some growth in the last few years, and that has a cost. And so we'll continue to see that incremental cost on things like our accelerated wage growth from our pay packages. We're also seeing less county vacancies, which is a good thing, but that means there's less turnover that we can do on the accounting side. And then we have had those operational increases. So as we transition those recovery funds over to county general funds, and our material and labor costs increase, and our expanded services as we open up new facilities or bring new parks online, and all of that, it just kind of adds up. And then, of course, there is the Board of Ed funding, which not only do we want to keep accelerating, but there is the state mandate for the blueprint for education. Okay, so now what we're going to do is a little exercise to show you what it's like to be County Executive Stuart Pittman in a couple months. We're going to bring to him a list of all of this stuff. And at the very top, we're going to give him a revenue estimate. And for the sake of this exercise, let's say it's $100 million. Okay, that's a pretty good year. That's preliminary estimate. I reserve the right to make it go up or down when we get more data. But let's say $100 million. On the top of the chart, the kind of upper third, you're going to see all these things we call non-discretionary costs. This is debt service and our pension contribution and our insurance fund and our vehicle rate study, like all the non-sexy parts of government that we have to fund just to make things work, okay? For the sake of this exercise, let's assume that's going to be about $30 million. So we start with 100, take off 30, we are down to, anybody? 70, good. Okay, $70 million. Still a lot, we can do a lot with that. Okay, now what? We got to pay our employees, right? Pay packages. We got our unions, our bargaining units. We got our non-reps. We got contractual and temp workers. We want to take care of them too. I don't know what that's going to end up costing. We're in negotiations now. But last year was about $18 million. Seems reasonable. Let's just use that as a placeholder. So we have 70 now. Let's subtract 18. And how much is that? Lisa's got it. It's $52 million. Okay, so $52 million. That's still a lot. What can we do with that? Now we can look at all the other things we want to fund, right? $52 million. Guess what? The superintendent's request just for the Board of Ed was $94 million. So our pool of what we have is already a little bit more than half of what our request just for the Board of Ed is. And now that's an important request, but we have other things to compete with it too. We have our library system, our community college system. We have our departments asking to expand operations or do things differently. And then we have the overall kind of growing cost of things like fuel, electricity, or things like that. We have to fit all that in to that little bit of money that's left. And I say little bit, it's $52 million. It's a lot of cash. But in the grand scheme of a $2.3 billion budget, it's not that much, right? Anyway, he's going to have a lot of hard decisions to make. All right. So just to summarize, anticipated pressures on the budget. Inflation continues to be high. We've got those state budget shortfall to watch and the federal uncertainty. And we have our incremental increases in things like debt service and health insurance and all that. And then we have kind of our operational growth and increases that we're going to have to accommodate from things that we've decided to fund in the previous years. So all those are going to pressure the budget. Now I have some good news for you. If you thought this was interesting and you want to get more information, boy, I've got some really good links for you. You can go to our Open Arundel page and get all kinds of budget data. If you want to explore departmental budgets, you can use our Budget Buddy, and that allows you to drill down into departments and see how the money is spent in their different components. You can see the current year budget book or previous budgets going back 10 or 15 years on our Budget Office page. And then perhaps the most important one, on the aacounty.org, Your Budget, you can get this presentation. You can send feedback to the county exec and the team. You can get all kinds of stuff. It's kind of like a hub of activity. So if you remember one link, remember aacounty.org/yourbudget. Now, last slide, and this is important. Heard 80 of you signed up to speak tonight. That's great. If you don't want to talk, there's another way to get your feedback in. You can email us, budget-comments@aacounty.org. Every email is read. Every one is categorized. It's presented to the county executive and his budget team. So even if you don't want to get up in front of your friends and neighbors and say something, you can communicate to us. If you know people that couldn't come tonight and they want to reach out, please give them this email. It's very important. So with that, I've spoken more than enough. It was good to see you all again. I'm going to get out of the way, turn it back over to James, and we'll hear from you guys. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Before we get started, I want to do a few just last introductions and thank yous. Other elected officials in the room, we have Joanna Tobin from the Board of Education is over here. Dr. Tobin. Dylan Baylor is in the room, who will be sworn in as your next delegate for 30A on Thursday, I believe. Are there any other elected officials that did not make my list? All right. And then some departmental leadership. Erin Day is here. She's the Assistant Director at the Department of Public Works. Over there. Claudia Roll is here. She is the Administrator for Animal Care and Control. Jessica Lay's already got a shout out during her slide, but Jessica's here at the back there. And Skip Ald, Executive Director of our Library Systems, is here as well. Thank you all for being here. Just really quick, now just thank you to all of the county staff to help set up. There's a lot of people from our office that helped organize all this, but especially we have central services guys who and ladies who came and set up all of the equipment and the sound. We have Arundel TV that is live streaming this, making it accessible for people at home and putting it on YouTube so you can go back and review it and clip all the cool things you say later. So thank you everyone who has helped to make this happen. All right, and now it is time to listen from you. So the way this is going to work is I am going to call up several people at a time. We are going to start with residents of District 6, and we'll get through that entire list. So you can line up when I call your name over here in front of this microphone. When you're speaking, we do disinfect the microphones, in between budget town halls. But if you can just get as close as you're comfortable to the microphone, that helps everyone else in the room hear what you're testifying on, and also our people at home that are watching the live stream hear you as well. So get up there and speak as close as you're comfortable. You have 2 minutes. There will be a timer on the screen, a 2-minute timer. It will count down. It will turn red at 20 seconds. It will beep at you at 2 minutes. And if you're still going, then I'm going to have to politely ask you to summarize because of the number of people that we have signed up to speak. So just please pay attention to your time. As the county executive said earlier, you get bonus points if you're under 2 minutes, or if somebody's already testified under issue. If you say, hey, this is my name, I'm with that person, double bonus points. So just keep that in mind as you go through your evening. And now without any further ado, I will call up the first few people. So we are going to have Catherine Haas, David Delia, and Ronald Schneider as the first three.
Do I start my 2 minutes right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I want to talk really fast because there's a lot of things I want to say. But first, Stuart and Lisa, I am so proud of all the things you've done. I'm really, really glad I campaigned, I phone banked for you because you've done a fabulous job. I'm here today to beg you to increase the money funding for the library. The public library is it's magical. It's one of the few places that all people are welcome, whatever color, whatever ethnicity, whatever gender, right? It welcomes everybody, and it has more than just books. It has everything possible. It's like a passport to the world, right? And so, for the homeless people who don't have computers, they can come and they can get help in how to apply for a job. For the people with special needs, they come. So it's just, and then they have on Saturday little children of all colors building wonderful things. It's just, so what I found that they really need is, do you know that the cleaning people can't subsist on the salary they get? They've got to have 2 jobs. We need to pay the janitors enough so that they can have 1 job and get to the family the rest of the day instead of find another job. They need more technical help because people are always asking them, please. And so it would be wonderful to have more outreach, a higher salary, and more personnel. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place. And so please, to me, the library is heaven, and it's the safe place for all of us. So please do what you can and give them more money. And because I'm recovering from COVID, I'm going to leave, which is very rude, but I hope you forgive me because I really should be home in bed. Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
for being
negative,
here.
I know.
Thank you for being here.
I'm Ron Snyder, county resident for 34 years. I'm here to advocate for the Anne Arundel County Literacy Council. I've been a volunteer tutor there since March. It's a wonderful organization. It helps educate young adults who are under-resourced, and it provides the county with a diverse, highly motivated, skilled, really strong workforce, which benefits all of us.
Yeah, bonus points.
Good evening. My name is David Delia, and I'm one of about 320 families that live in Arundel on the Bay, what we consider to be the best place in the best place. You will hear from advocates for Chief Walford's approximately 1,000 firefighters and EMTs, Chief Avad's approximately 1,000 police officers, about 5,000 educators that the school board administers, and about 400 library personnel, all of whom have very real human needs and serve county residents by their very existence. But Department of Public Works, approximately 700 personnel under Director Karen Henry, serves almost every county resident every day with rapid response to everyday quality of life situations, and they are truly our county's unsung heroes and literally where our collective rubber meets the road every day. They provide stormwater drainage, down tree services, water, sewage, infrastructure support, snow ice removal, traffic signs, street lamps. Those of you that notice the Ravens lamps are gone, that's because they changed them. The waste management and recycle, all of these things, watershed protection, something that doesn't get much. The scope of DPW's charter indicates that no matter how much is currently budgeted, DPW needs additional funding and increased personnel to provide adequate services to everybody.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Carrie Mueller, Ed Clark, and Cherry Milo. Milo.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Mueller. I'm a school social worker here at Annapolis High School. I'm a proud A-High Panther. I've been with the county for 13 years. Over the years, I've dedicated myself to our students. I've lost students to gun violence, and in their memory, I started the Pathways to Peace program to help students figure out that their potential goes so far beyond community violence. I trained a therapy dog to come to school with me for 7 years at Phoenix Academy to provide emotional support to that school. I've built partnerships with local organizations and city leaders to gain critical resources and connections to keep our students safe in school and in the community. I even offer yoga and meditation classes to teachers after school. But despite all of the ways that I go above and beyond my job description to make a difference in our community, I am continually reminded that Anne Arundel County is the only county around that does not pay school social workers at the same rate as school psychologists and pupil personnel workers. For years, I chose not to focus on this disparity because I didn't want to take my energy away from what I think is important about my job. I remind myself that I did not get into this job for the money. But as my career starts to wind down, I really do wonder how this county is going to recruit and retain the next generation of social workers who want to serve our students build programs to change lives, connect community resources, and make a lasting impact if we're the county that doesn't compensate social workers fairly. So tonight I ask you to fully fund the budget for social workers to get equal pay with school psychologists and pupil personnel workers, because we make a huge difference. Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Pittman and members of the County Council. My name is Ed Clark. I'm a fairly new resident to Anne Arundel County, live with my wife in District 6. We moved from Montgomery County, where I served my community for almost 25 years as a Montgomery County police officer and retired as a captain. I'm here tonight to ask you and the County Council to fully fund the needs of our county police department as well as all other county public safety agencies in order to keep our communities and schools safe. There is no greater responsibility for a local government than to keep its residents and citizens safe from crime, violence, and fire hazards. I know that you and the council have been working hard along with Chief Awad and the Fraternal Order of Police to address the staffing shortages of our police department. There are a lot of reasons for this shortage, not only in Anne Arundel County, but across the state and the country. It's imperative that this collective team continues those efforts, including community input to address this real public safety concern and to consider creative ways to address the shortage of police officers. I know one thing as a former district commander, it is our patrol officers and supervisors are the backbone of any police department, including our own county police department here. They respond in an effective way to emergency calls, and they have to continue to do that. Paying overtime to cover these staffing shortages is only a stopgap matter that leads to burnout, fatigue, and frustration among the police complement and supporting police units. I know we have an outstanding police department and will continue to provide outstanding service to them. I know this is a tough budget year, and I encourage you to continue to work to find creative ways to fully staff our police agencies and public safety partners. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts, and please don't hesitate to call on me and other communities' help in addressing this serious community concern. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cherry Milo. Can you hear me? I'm here to thank you for all that you all do. I've known you all and Chris for almost all the 10 years that I've lived here, and I'm very pleased with what you're doing. Very pleased. The police department, the fire department, the street cleaners, the snow removal people, I'm very grateful. So I have a few things that I'd like for you to fund. One is the Dolly Parton or the Annapolis area Imagination Library. I'm going to give you this. Public libraries, immigrants.
We're all immigrants. If you got over from Africa, you're an immigrant. What to say?
Okay. Anne Arundel County Food Bank, who still needs our money. The Chrysalis House, I don't know if we could donate to them. The trans community, who need homes, who need the warming centers, Planned Parenthood, and housing for everybody. Thank you.
She is. All right, next up we have Madeline Rivard, Grace Fogarty, and Mary Pohita.
Hi. So I would like to say I really love the public libraries, and they definitely need our full support and our funding. I would also like to say specifically that pools are very important to me. It's an essential skill to learn how to swim, and people should, and that should be given priority and focus. I also believe that we should be funding environmental causes and wetland restoration, because there is no greater calling for a local government than to prevent their main city from being submerged into the sea. Also, with what's going on in Washington, we need to focus on protecting our community, our vulnerable, our homeless, our trans people, everybody who is going to be feeling the effects of what's to come.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you. All right.
So I heard you say Grace Fogarty. I'm John Fogarty. I don't know if there's another Fogarty, but I can be graceful in my.
That totally works. That works for me.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks very much. A plus on the AAA bond rating. That is super important, not just to our residents, but to the state as well. I live in Hillsmere. I've lived here for about 4 years or so. Not here to ask for anything more, but just to urge a caution. Maryland's had some drain in residents, right, and a drain in taxpayer base. A lot of that has happened over the last couple of years as well. 100,000 net loss in 2023. And that's going to states like Virginia and other places. And we talk about counties that we can compare ourselves to. I think it's important to also look at comparing ourselves to counties like Loudoun or Bucks or other places outside of the state, because our tax base could be moving there. So for all these very important things to be funded, we've really got to look at that. And part of that is really being careful about how we raise taxes, not just who we raise taxes on, how we raise them progressively, and particularly to do it in a way that encourages new business ventures for people to create jobs in our county, homegrown from the talent out of the Anne Arundel County Public Schools and the libraries, because there are talents here. We want to keep them here. But higher taxes will inevitably reduce the possibility of people doing that and move them out of state. So I'll give back to 27 seconds. So.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we will move on. Next up, Fish Stark, Helene Raven, and Al Gruber.
Hey, thanks to you all for being here. My name is Fish Stark. I'm a resident of downtown Annapolis. I am here to encourage you all to fully fund AACPS's budget request in this year's budget. I grew up in South County. I moved back 2 years ago from Montgomery County with my fiance because we know that Anne Arundel County is an incredible place to raise kids, and part of the thing that makes it that way is AACPS, is our top-rated school system. But we know school systems are only as good as their personnel, and that good personnel come and stay when they're paid well and paid fairly. You know, I think about budgets as investments, and there's no better investment than having well-paid personnel, educating our kids, making sure that they're building a foundation for a really strong life. My feeling with education funding is either we pay now or we pay later. We pay now to have good teachers and good social workers and good psychologists and good librarians and good programs that we see the outcomes of now, like community schools. The community schools that are being supported by the blueprint are driving increases in achievement, driving decreases in chronic absenteeism. The more we fund that, we either pay for that now or we pay later when we reap the consequences of having kids who are not properly educated, not prepared for the workforce, not supported to live lives of meaning and choice as adults. Thanks for everything that you do, and we're really, really hoping that you'll continue to robustly fund public education for my kids and all our kids. Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Reba Hyde. I believe I was skipped over. Excuse me. Good evening. I'm requesting Anne Arundel County to keep the construction plans for the West County pool open and in progress. I swim. I use the Anne Arundel Swim Center frequently. I'm speaking on the behalf. Oh, I thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of short. Anyway, I'm speaking on the behalf of my fellow senior swimmers that cannot be here tonight to speak. The Anne Arundel Swim County is crowded. The parking lot is full. The Anne Arundel County pool is shared by many different groups that need pool access. And this includes the drown proofing for children, which is really critical because we surround the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries like the Severn River. We have swim team, for high school. We have homeschool swim team. We have aquatic training for emergency responders that is critical. Also, we have senior lap swimmers and facilities for the physically challenged. It's tough to get a lane in there. We really need another pool to reduce the load on the Anne Arundel County Swim Center. But thank you very much for listening.
Hello, my name is Helene Raven. I've lived in the county. Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll start over. Hello, my name is Helene Raven. I'm a resident of District 6, and I am a retiree from Anne Arundel County. Now, I'm probably the only one here who's not asking for more money. What I'm asking for is a little bit more accountability. And I say this because I'm concerned about county residents calling in and asking for help from the county and not getting response quickly. I retired during COVID. I also worked from home during COVID, and I found it cumbersome, inefficient, and frustrating. Simple questions could not be answered simple questions that in the past could have been answered in a few minutes now were delayed due to difficulties in contacting coworkers or waiting for Zoom meetings. Recent retirees and current employees tell me that things have not changed since I retired. As a retiree, I am now on the other side of the fence and see that the work from home directives delay county responses and service to the taxpayers. It is considerably more difficult to get responses when county employees working from home are not able to return calls or not available during the work week. I am asking that county employees working from home maintain the same work hours they have during the regular workday and not use their time, their non-official time, for doing other things, but to use their leave. I'm also asking for all county employees working from home to have access to cell phones to answer calls that come in to them, or to have the calls sent to them so that they can be answered immediately. I've come across too many cases where people are told, I can't get an answer today because somebody is working from home and cannot call. So please, see if we can stabilize this for the benefit of all the people in the county that need help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to support the West County pool. Even though that it is not going to be built in this district, it certainly will serve and benefit all of Anne Arundel County. The county has 14 public high schools with swim teams, 7 private high schools with swim teams, 3 nationally ranked club teams that represent well over 800 county student athletes. In addition, there are at least 2 organized master swim clubs that serve people from 19 to 99, and 1 very unorganized swim club. We meet over at the AOSC every morning at 6 a.m. Their members represent well over 25 swim world records. My name's Al Gruber. I am the Annapolis High School swim coach, and as such, the high school swimming only gets about 2.5 hours of training per week. That's about the least of any high school sport. It's very, very tight, as you may have heard. In addition, with the coastline of Anne Arundel County that rivals that of California, the ongoing middle school swim safety program certainly needs some help and some expansion. All that said, all the youngsters that swim certainly dream of going to Olympic trials. 2 county residents were fortunate enough to go to swim the Olympic trials last year, or swimming the English Channel. As I said, if you build it, they will swim. It will relieve the congestion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Aaron Hansen, Jane Campbell-Chambliss, and Eddie Atkins and Susie Levine, who I understand will be sharing their 2 minutes, which is bonus points.
Hi, I'm Erin Hansen. I am a 12-year veteran at Annapolis High School, and I am here, unsurprisingly, to address funding for the Board of Education budget for this coming year. You're going to hear from a lot of my colleagues, and you've already heard from some about the powerful work we do in our community here, and they can all say it probably better than I can. So I will leave it to them to give you specifics, except to say that I'll speak from a little bit of life circumstance that I was just thinking about, which is that I grew up in Bowie, along with my 3 siblings. Of the 4 of us, 3 of us live here now because the schools are good. When my brother, who originally had his children in a private school, had to, for very difficult personal reasons, had to move his kids into public school, it was a tremendous relief for them to know that the school in their neighborhood was incredible and that all of their neighborhood families said nothing but wonderful things about it. And so I think that is a powerful testimony, because my whole family grew up in private school, and now to have the 3 of us here putting all of our kids, about to put them all in this school system, is a testament to the work that I have done, my colleagues have done, that generations of teachers have done, and we need to continue that work with funding this school system properly. Thank you.
Another shorty. Good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Jane Campbell-Chambliss. I have been a lifelong resident of Anne Arundel County, 4 generations. I grew up in downtown Annapolis, and I have the most fun job because I am the vice president of the Anne Arundel County Library Foundation. I do want to ask you all one question. Be honest. Do you have, what's in your wallet? Your library card, right? Okay. With that library card, first of all, it's free. What's free? There's a library card right there. The library is not just a place for books anymore. Yeah, we've got 1 million books, truly. We've got CDs, DVDs, cassette players. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, the lady that spoke before, I almost wept because she was so impassioned about our library system, and I am too. Sorry, I've got a little cold. But this library provides not only books and all kinds of wonderful things. Did you know that you can check out a ukulele and a fishing pole? Yeah, that's true. But we also have things that are very important. Our kindergarten readiness, babies in bloom, toddler time, preschool story time, all these things that are there at the library for every citizen that has a library card. And if you don't have one, those wonderful librarians and staff will make sure you get one. And so some of the fun things about the library that I find, and I've been on the board, this is my 3rd term. I have 1 more year, unfortunately. But I have found the people in this county embrace the library like nothing else. You go in there and you watch the children and the adults. We have a library that's in a mall, for gosh sake. And it's growing. Am I finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Eddie Adkins, a resident of District 6 and president of the Board of Directors of Annapolis Immigration Justice Network. We help immigrants, thank you. We help immigrants in Anne Arundel County access lawyers to represent them in their immigration cases. Our work has never been more urgently needed than it is now. I'm here to respectfully request that the county continue funding the Wraparound Services for Immigrant Children program. We want to thank you, County Executive Pittman, Councilmember Rodvian, and the entire County Council for your past funding of this program that specifically supports immigrant children and youth. This is an acutely important endeavor, as 9 out of 10 immigrant children without an attorney are deported.
Hello, I am Sue Levine, also a resident of District 6, and treasurer of AIJN's Board of Directors. AIJN formed in 2017 after recognizing the desperate need for immigration legal services. AIJN provides immigrants financial assistance with legal fees, transportation, and case management support. To date, 96% of cases adjudicated through our nonprofit have received favorable decisions. Just 4 days ago, thanks to AIJN's program with the Partnership for Children's, Youth, and Families, and Anne Arundel County High School Junior had a successful court hearing and is now on a pathway to legal permanent resident with dreams of becoming a dentist. We know from firsthand experience that legal representation affects hope, stability, and long-term solutions for immigrant children and their families. An investment in AIJN is an investment in the future of our county, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you. Next up is Megan Jackson, Jackie Coleman, and Chris Weinstein.
Tough act to follow. Good evening. My name is Megan Jackson, and I'm the development coordinator at Maryland Hall for the Creative Arts. We're a cornerstone nonprofit arts hub in Annapolis, and our programs provide inclusive arts opportunities for over 100,000 Anne Arundel County residents each year. I'm here tonight to encourage the county to maintain its support for our free community programs for low-income students. We provide 46 weeks of free after-school programs and summer camps each year and offer instruction in over a dozen disciplines, including visual and media arts, dance, musical theater, robotics, and pottery. In Anne Arundel County, after-school care costs an average of $165 per student per week in 2024, which is a huge cost burden for low-income families. Extracurricular clubs and lessons often charge even more than that for specialized instruction and materials. Maryland Hall's community programs address income barriers by providing all of our materials, snacks, and instruction completely for free with expert teaching artists. We host programs at satellite sites within walking distance of critical neighborhoods, allowing students easy access to this resource. Our community programs are open to all residents, and we especially suit them to meet the needs of underserved demographics. We're proud to offer bilingual instruction in English and Spanish to support the needs of the Central and South American student population. Studies have proven that students who attend extracurricular arts programs have an increased sense of belonging and optimism, reduced rates of anxiety and depression, and improved academic outcomes. This year, our after-school programs and summer camps are supporting over 300 students and their families, and the clubs, workshops, and performances we coordinate at 10 Title I partner schools benefit an additional 2,800 students in grades K through 12. The money the county spends on our programs improves families' lives today and invests in students' well-being and creative contributions into the future. We implore the county to maintain the current funding levels in this year's budget to preserve these critical county programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. My name is Jackie Coleman, and I'm the Executive Director of Maryland Hall for the Creative Arts. Apparently, it's the Maryland Hall show right back to back. I'm here this evening not to say the same thing, so otherwise I would keep it short. I want to request the county's support with our current capital campaign, Act 3, Scene 1. With a $9 million campaign goal, we have currently raised $6 million, with none of those initial dollars coming from the county. The county has supported previous capital projects at Maryland Hall, and we are now asking your help with this one. Maryland Hall for the Creative Arts is housed in the old Annapolis High School building, built in 1932. We have been providing art for all in the community for over 45 years. In 2023, 113,600 visitors came to our campus. We have 4 resident companies housed in our facility and countless partners that rent space, lead classes, and host events. We are an integral driver of the creative economy here in Anne Arundel County. Act 3, Scene 1 is Maryland Hall's 3rd campaign within the last 20 years. The first 2, Act 1 and 2, made possible the upgrades to the main theater and the new theater production wing, which included ADA services. The current project includes a new building-wide HVAC system with fresh air ventilation and upgrades to the Bowen Theater, including acoustically decoupling our main stage and the Bowen Theater ceiling. The first affects everyone who walks through the doors of Maryland Hall and is vital to the health and well-being of our patrons, volunteers, teachers, students, and staff. The second enables the Bowen Theater to include functions as a multi-purpose theater addressing the community's ever-increasing demand for its use. Act 3, Scene 1 will allow us to ensure patrons continue to take our classes and come to our shows because the experience of the space is not only physically comfortable, but also more environmentally sustainable and energy efficient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Weinstein. I'm a District 6 resident, and I am the president of Friends of Anne Arundel County, Animal Care and Control. So the purple shirts have spoken at every council-level budget town hall since Mr. Pittman started them. This year we have advocated for the shelter's budget requests, for turning it into a county department, and for a new shelter. Speakers have emphasized that the shelter's current building, constructed as a place for animals to quickly die, now is a place that, despite its building's many inadequacies, cares for adoptable pets until they find a new home, even if that takes months. That's the big picture. Tonight I want to tell you what those changes meant for one little puppy. Emmy, then only 8 weeks old, was found abandoned outside in early November with 4 fractures to her right rear leg. The damage was several days old. Back when animal control moved into its current building 25 years ago, the fate of a badly injured stray like Emmy was certain: euthanasia. The shelter had no veterinarian, no funds to pay for treatment elsewhere. If only to end her suffering, Emmy would have died immediately. Even if uninjured, she would have been euthanized because she looks like a pit bull. Back in those days, the shelter did not adopt out pit bulls. But Emmy didn't die, and she didn't lose her leg. Our volunteer-created nonprofit paid for her fractures to be fixed by a specialist during complex and expensive surgery. She spent 6 weeks recovering in a shelter foster home, my home, in fact. On Christmas Eve, she left the shelter with a family with 3 children and another dog. I heard from them a few days ago. She's a joy to have, they said, and gives us lots of love. That's what our county shelter is about now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to publicly thank Animal Care and Control for the chocolates. I know that if we do well in the budget now, everybody's going to bring chocolate in the future. Just remember, gifts must be below $25 to be legal with the Ethics Commission.
All right, next up, we've got Lauren Keslak, Jean Kelly, and Katie Edwards, who are also sharing their 2 minutes, and then Lauren Pridgen.
Hi, I'm Lauren Keslak. I'm a volunteer at Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control. And yes, I did bring a safety book with annotated notes as your neighborhood-friendly safety lady. So let's talk about the dog room at the shelter. Oops, I have this on me out. It's not as loud as it could be. But imagine this times 10, and you're trying to communicate with each other, or if you're a dog and you're in the kennels, hearing that constantly all day and all night, or if you're a shelter worker and you're trying to feed the dogs and you can't communicate with each other, the volunteers can't communicate with each other, these animals are all amped up, And when animals get all amped up, they become stressed and they're more likely to bite. So let's talk about OSHA and ACGIH's TLV guide, because that's what you totally want to hear about tonight. So the OSHA PEL for noise is 90 decibels over an 8-hour day. The police have told them in the past, well, that doesn't matter because you can leave the room. Not true. With noise, it compounds. I could talk about this for an hour and a half. I'm not going to. Multiple dogs barking can get up to 115 decibels. The PEL for that is only 15 minutes. You can't tell me that those workers are only in there for 15 minutes or less per day. What can we do to fix it? We can't. You've been in that shelter. You've been in that shelter. We've had sound engineers in that shelter. We can't fix it. It's beyond fixing at this point. The only thing that is going to fix this is a new shelter where we're no longer warehousing animals on top of each other, which is against the shelter guidelines. So that is all the time I have for tonight. I will send you a novel on this if you'd like. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jean Kelly, and I'm a very proud member of the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra Board of Trustees. My daughter is an Annapolis Symphony violinist, and she played violin in Anne Arundel County schools from 3rd to 12th grade and went on to get undergrad and graduate degrees in violin performance. It just shows you how good our Anne Arundel County schools are. I firmly believe the leaders of Annapolis advocate arts for all of our citizens. You believe that music matters. You believe that arts makes our community stronger. You have seen the tremendous success that we enjoy from the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra's Pops in the Park at Quiet Waters and Downs Park. They draw huge numbers. Last year it was 4,000 at Quiet Waters. And we also draw people who from age 1 week old to those over 90 years of age. These concerts are a huge asset to the community. We are requesting $50,000 to fund these concerts for summer 2025. This does not cover the full cost of the concerts, and we will seek corporate sponsorship for the difference. Let's keep the excellence of music in Anne Arundel County going.
And I just want to reiterate, I'm Katie Edwards, and I'm here bringing a myriad of hats to support also the request for funding for the free Pops in the Parks concert. I'm a District 6 resident. I care about the health of our community in this time of divisiveness, also a board member, and finally a local pediatrician who sees every day the real impact of music on the lives of our children. So we respectfully request your support once again. Again, please consider $50,000 for the Pops in the Park. And together, music provides a thread that can link us toward our common goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mike Shire with the Fraternal Order of Police. I just want to start out and point out what should be plainly obvious. It is the people that make this county work. It's the librarians, it's the DPW workers, it's the teachers, it's the firefighters and the police officers and their pets that make this county the great place that it is. I've been a police officer for 21 years. About 10 years ago, I decided to go to law school. One of the biggest reasons I went to law school was in the post-Freddie Gray, George Floyd world. I wanted to make sure that our police officers of Anne Arundel County were upholding the highest standards of constitutional policing. I spent about a quarter of my year teaching our new and experienced officers constitutional and criminal law. I'm exceedingly proud of the work that they do every day. They want to do a good job. They want to help people and keep our communities safe, and they want to do it the right way. I wish some of my law school friends had become police officers. Their morality and drive would have been excellent for our police department. One of my best friends spent first half of her professional life in public service, got a new job last year. It's 30% higher pay rate than mine. She gets to telework, she has a great work-life balance, and she can raise her 2 wonderful children. She called me last week. She got a $45,000 a year raise. Now, I don't expect you to pay your police officers or any of us other public servants as much as a practicing private attorney. But I want you to think about something. Our police officers have to be knowledgeable about criminal constitutional law, just like lawyers, because if they don't, then we lose the cases that keep the criminals off our streets and keep our communities safe. Unlike lawyers, we have to make these decisions in the heat of a moment, while being battered by the wind, sun, rain, and snow, and when lives are on the line. Our lawyers, like police officers, are professionals, and we need to recognize that police officers are professionals. We need to pay our police officers like the professionals they are. We're never going to dig ourselves out of the critical staffing crisis that our police department is currently in. So I have a couple questions. I studied collaborative problem solving extensively in school. It has a much higher success rate, long-term success rate, than adversarial styles. So why does the county continue to use adversarial styles of contract bargaining with its police officers and other groups? Additionally, I'm set to retire in a few years. There are many more with enormous amounts of knowledge, training, and experience that are preparing to retire as well. I live in this county. I want to know, how will you replace them and us? My family, my community live here. Please do what you can to help protect this community and fund our police department. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Ford, and I'm a board member of the Anne Arundel County Police Fraternal Order of Police. Mr. Trumbauer said that you increased our starting salary to the highest in Maryland to dramatically increase the ability to hire police officers. Mr. Trumbauer also talked about the dramatic increase in funding our police department. Well, I suppose those increases look dramatic when you don't normalize inflation. While there were increases, and we certainly appreciate them, it is not quite as dramatic as the chart makes it out to be. More importantly, it was the FOP that fought for that high starting salary. Despite your public remarks saying that you wanted to have the highest starting salary for police, your administration fought against us to get it. And the current officers who had to sacrifice to get that salary, giving up their benefits and reducing pay, advancements, and the rest of the pay scale to get there. Our idea was to recruit and retain, but your administration forced us to sacrifice some ability to retain experienced officers to try and attract new ones. Next, we warned you that the salary point, would not do the job, and we have not, as Ms. Trumbauer and you hoped, dramatically increased their ability to hire officers. You talk about all the police departments having trouble hiring. While we are glad that our starting salary is at the top of the stack, it is only just barely so, and the rest of our scale is not at the top as you want it. Our county is doing the same thing as all the other jurisdictions, inching salaries up and crossing our fingers. Well, doing the same thing over and over again, doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, not changing the results. So it is time to do something different. Mr. Pittman, our FOP supported you through 2 elections. We supported you because you promised, not just us, but our communities, that you would solve our long-standing staffing problem. We told you during your first campaign that our current staffing crisis was predictable. That means it was preventable. Now we are falling farther behind each and every day. You said the public safety is the priority of our county, but much of your administration has not made it priority. Buck stops with you. You have 2 years left, summarize? No time for delays or excuses. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Hello, I am Lauren Pridgeon, bookending this group with Lawrence. I'm a board member of Anne Arundel County Fraternal Order of Police, 8-year veteran with the police department, and longtime resident of District 6. It was interesting to hear a teacher speak from last week's town hall. She lamented the fact that she was less of a teacher and more of a substitute parent. Well, our police officers sympathize with that. No teacher should have to go through that. At least when you sign up to be a police officer, you can kind of expect to be on the receiving end of disrespect, as it's part of the job. The problem is that still wears us down. How many times can you get spit on? How many fights can you get in with someone who is set on hurting you or someone else? How many times can you put your own life on the line before you say, enough is enough, it isn't worth it? We have to endure these tribulations far too often, and it wears on us. Our mental health is suffering. Our physical health is suffering. We are not the unfeeling monsters that too many people portray us to be. We are members of this community. We have families living in this community. Many of us have children attending schools in this community. And we have dedicated our lives and our careers to protecting this community. Our communities demand the services that police officers proudly provide to them. They want community engagement. They want and deserve to feel safe in their homes, in their parks, on their roadways. How does that happen? You have to have enough police officers, and we currently don't have enough of them. You know that we don't have enough of them. So stop falling short. Stop failing our communities. Many things are important to our communities, and by the end of the 7th Town Hall, you surely have heard many of them. But your words are that public safety is the most fundamental obligation of government. You are the head of the county government, and please mobilize your staff and live up to the most fundamental obligation and properly staff our police department. Thank you.
Next up, we have Christine Smith, Christy Giuliano, and Michael Cover.
Good evening. My name is Christine. I'm a District 6 resident, 25 years social worker, 20 years in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I'd like to share a story with you from my student who I used to work with. Hi, my name is Arthur Brown. I grew up in Severn, Maryland. My mom, dad, and 3 siblings. We didn't always have the best things growing up, but we had parents that tried their best, and what I like to call guardian angels. I had a few growing up, but only a few made a true impact on my life, and one of them was Christine Smith. My elementary school all the way through high school, she always cared after me and my family than any other school official ever had. She always made sure I was ready for school, pencils, pens, paper, everything. She always cared about my academics, making sure I was making it to class and doing the work. Always pushing me to go hard, even when I didn't want to do the work. Time after time, she would make sure I was set up for success and always went the extra mile to show me that she was a reliable source, no matter the circumstances. Everything she's done for me cannot go unnoticed and will forever be appreciated. Even throughout the years, me now, 25 years old, often will communicate with Miss Smith, and she still supports me today in my career. She's more than just a social worker. She's a guardian angel. Please fully fund our AACPS school board budget, but also remember it's coming down the line. School social workers want pay parity. We want to be on the same specialist scale as the school psychs and the PPWs. It has been way too long that we've been underfunded. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Christy Giuliano, a high school math teacher for Anne Arundel County Public Schools and a District 6 resident. I'm here tonight to advocate for the AACPS school budget to be fully funded. Based on Mr. Trumbauer's budget presentation he gave to the Board of Ed, there's some extra one-time money not foreseen due to delinquent tax funds being collected this year. I feel this extra money should fund educator COLA salary increases, specifically retention stipends for 25-plus year teachers who do not qualify for a step increase in addition to the COLA percentage. Such teachers like myself are falling behind. We make $6,000 less than PG County teachers and $13,000 less than Montgomery County teachers. In addition, this money should be used to fund the school safety and security items Dr. Bedell has budgeted for upgraded video camera systems and non-invasive weapons detection systems to be piloted at 2 high schools next year. School safety is part of community safety. School safety is part of community safety. Furthermore, let's add money to pilot a cell phone pouch program at a high school next year. Students use cell phones in schools to cheat, plan meetups with others in the bathroom, distribute inappropriate substances in the bathroom, or commit inappropriate acts in the bathroom. Watch and stream videos and movies during the school day, scroll through social media outlets, take embarrassing or graphic pictures of others and distribute them through social media, and send text messages to others continuously. These actions affect school safety, security, students' mental health, and are a distraction to learning. Why are we letting students have this power? Let's try a pilot cell phone plan program in the high school next year and fund that. Aren't we responsible for monitoring student behavior in school? It's time to act on school safety and security. These phones don't let us do that. Let's be proactive and not reactive. Thank you, and remember to fund those COLAs for educators.
Good evening. My name is Michael Kofer, and I'm a teacher here at Annapolis High School. I walked in this building roughly 13 hours ago, and I haven't left yet. And believe it or not, that's not an unusual situation for many of us who work in this building. I'm lucky, I'm really, really fortunate to have spent a career, and I retired from a career in Washington, D.C. before moving here with my husband almost 5 years ago. I'm a career changer, and so when I came to become a teacher in this building, I had no idea how hard teachers really work. The decisions that we make on a daily basis, every minute, every hour of the day, for the safety of our kids, for the learning of our kids, it pales in comparison to the private sector decisions that I made every single day. I worked for a publicly traded company for corporate clients, sitting in boardrooms in Dr. Fauci's office. I have trained some of the best minds in the corporate world, in the government space, to do all sorts of amazing things. I highly respect the public service that you all provide us with every day. But I have to say that I've never worked as hard as I work as a public school teacher. And I'm not alone, and I know you know this. Public school teachers, while you were speaking, Mr. Pittman, on my phone, I got a note that Amazon shipped school supplies that I bought out of my own pocket so that I could teach effectively because of the changes in the curriculum that have been made over the past several years. I ask you for the 10% COLA for teachers, and thank you for your efforts to fully fund the ACPS budget. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Mary Grace Gallagher, Angela Ewell Madison, and Susan Wheatley.
Guys. First of all, I just want to say I would not be in leadership like you guys are at this point for hell or high water, but thank you for doing it. Secondly, I'm asking to fully fund the AACPS budget. My 3 kids went through AACPS, and, except for the 19-year-old who's still in college, 2 out of the 3 are fully out of the nest and paying taxes now. So well done. And I'm full of gratitude for that as well. And I'd like to make special note of and back up the Carrie Mueller and her work as a social worker. In this building, there was almost not a single day that went by that there wasn't trauma. Of some kind. And of course, a medevac helicopter just took away a high school student from the Bates Field, and we're all wondering, is that one of our kids? And whether it was or wasn't, it's one of our kids, and it's going to be trauma for our kids in these schools, and it's going to land in her office one way or another. She could really use, in addition to paying her, what she's worth, which is mountains, we should have a second social worker in this building. And so whatever you can do to make that happen, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive Pittman and Councilmember Rodvian, for the honor and privilege of addressing you this evening. I am Angela Ewell Madison, Chair of the Wiley H. Bates Center Board of Directors. From 1933 to 1966, Wiley H. Bates High School was the only secondary school in Anne Arundel County for African Americans. Wiley H. Bates for whom the school was named, donated $500 to purchase the land on which the school was built. When it permanently closed, the school remained dormant for over 20 years. After a 25-year effort to reclaim the rich heritage of the complex, the Wiley H. Bates Legacy Center and Memorial are part of the complex known as the Wiley H. Bates Heritage Park, which opened in September of 2006. The facility includes space for the Boys and Girls Club, Annapolis Senior Center, 71 senior apartments, and the Legacy Center. This historical center is dedicated to preserving and presenting the history of Mr. Bates and the high school, and is a unique cultural arts heritage center displaying historical documents and collections that preserve the African American experience in Anne Arundel County. The center has partnered with nonprofit organizations, community organizations, and foundations to provide cultural experiences in the state of Maryland. The executive director provides leadership and vision to the Legacy Center. He implements the plans, policies, and strategic goals established by the board. This is just a snippet of the duties of the executive director, but you have been gracious in the past in providing the grant managed by the Arundel Community Development Services that funds this critical need, and we humbly ask for your continued support. This role is critical to the mission and success of the Bates Legacy Center. Thank you for your consideration of this request.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan Wheatley, co-founder of Save Our Trees, a program of the Watershed Stewards Academy. Since we originated in 2022, our volunteers have saved more than 6,300 trees from the scourge of English ivy and other invasive vines. Our focus: take action, educate the public, and advocate for banning the sale of invasive vines and shrubs, and for public funding for critical positions and tasks. Therefore, we are requesting funding for a full-time, permanent countywide invasives plant professional to develop and implement an invasive action plan for reporting and report directly to the county executive. We're also asking that you fund the weed resistance volunteer coordinator position. English ivy is destroying our mature trees and blanketing our forest floors. Already the trees we've saved are being invaded again. We know the budget is tight, but we're asking you to leverage our tax dollars and help us certify hundreds of volunteer citizens as weed warriors, granting them access to county property in order to save the county trees. You already have us. We're already there to do the work. We need permission. Also, continue working with our schools. Save Our Trees can attest that students make passionate messengers and live in every community in the county. We ask that you build on this resource and help them become weed warriors with us. Finally, we are not asking you to do it all alone. We are asking that you fully recognize the issue, create a plan, engage with volunteer organizations, empower the people through public service announcements. Your citizens are asking, what can we do? Please don't ignore us. Answer us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Cindy O'Neill, Lovell Offer, Janet Norman, and Dee Dee Strum. You can go whatever order.
Good evening. I'm Dee Dee Strum. I'm currently serving as interim CEO for Blacks of the Chesapeake Foundation, and I'm not here to ask for a dime, but rather to thank you all both for your continued many forms of support for the agenda for Blacks of the Chesapeake Foundation. On the other hand, I am here to ask for financial support for the nonprofit center. Nonprofits like Blacks of the Chesapeake Foundation has benefited from the training and services that they provide. This past fall, a volunteer board member and myself participated in a program that they sponsored for nonprofit fundraising and sustainability. I believe that there are many other nonprofits that can benefit from these services. That program was offered to us at an astoundingly high rate of $25. And I encourage every nonprofit that's here this evening to take advantage of the programs and services of the nonprofit center. I do hope that in the upcoming fiscal year that you'll find the funds to ensure that they can stay in business and continue to help, particularly in this time where fundraising and sustainability is going to make the difference in this climate between whether or not small and mid-sized nonprofits continue to survive and to help marginalized and underserved communities and persons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Cindy O'Neill, a 40-year resident of District 6, and I'm here tonight as a member of the Board of Directors of the Anne Arundel County Food Bank. We'd like to thank you very much for your support of $1.5 million in last year's budget, and we are here to request the same level of support again this year. The Anne Arundel County Food Bank provides a vital service that supports many residents in our community. They distribute food and basic necessities to families in our community at over 110 locations throughout the county, also including their recently launched mobile pantry, which comes in evenings and weekends, which allows greater accessibility for people. We all know the cost of living in this county is very high, and most of the people who come to the food bank are employed, but simply need a little bit of extra help to make ends meet for their family. No one should have to choose between feeding their family and paying their rent, heat, or electricity. So I want to thank you very much for your support and request that you continue it again this year.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Janet Norman. I'm a commissioner and former chair of the City of Annapolis's Education Commission. And like Mary Grace Gallagher before me, I am a former PTA president of Annapolis High here. We welcome you to our dynamic school of nearly 2,200 learners. Imagine what lunchtime is like in this room. We are the unifying core of this town where Panthers of many generations take pride in our school. You have met our only one social worker for our entire student body, Ms. Carrie Muller, who does phenomenal work. Our guidance counselors have over 300 to 350 students per counselor. And if any of you have students who have applied for colleges or career positions now, it's way more complicated than when you all were going to school. The Education Commission has unanimously passed a motion to support the urgent need for another social worker at Annapolis High and more mental health funding in the county executive's budget, fully funding the Board of Ed budget. We're indebted to all the professionals in this building, from our custodians, our incredible teachers, our staff, but they are not enough and they're not being treated as the professionals in other jurisdictions are. My friend is a school psychologist working in Anne Arundel as a contract psychologist. She will not come back next year because the pay she's received in Fairfax County and as a professor is so much higher, she will not put up with the AACPS levels. And so your students in your communities are not being diagnosed with what services they need from the get-go to help them learn and thrive. So please fully fund the mental health needs that our whole community needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Lavelle Offer. I'm here to speak about the Anne Arundel County Literacy Council. I am an outreach navigator for the No Harm program out of the mayor's office, and I also am a peer support specialist for the Anne Arundel County Health Department, and I also am the CEO of Small City Big Dreams. 2 years ago, I got a job with the health department, and I was asked to get my high school diploma. I got kicked out of every school in Anne Arundel County 22 some odd years ago. So this was a big feat for me to try to get my high school diploma. I reached out to the Literacy Council, and they helped guide me every step of the way. They gave me all the support that I needed. I say keep this program, keep this program because, like I said, I graduated last year. I walked across the stage at the Anne Arundel Community College. I also did a speech and all that. I say keep this program because they help you, when I say help, they help you every step of the way. They help you every step of the way. Just the other day, I had to get some stuff for my nonprofit. Five Below was giving away toys, and I was at work. and I called Miss Jane. And she went and got the stuff for me. So when I say they help you every step of the way, they help you every step of the way. We do toy drives, turkey drives, and everything. And they support us with everything that we do. And I have also got other people to reach out to them in the low-income neighborhoods in Annapolis to get their high school diploma. And they also are working on getting their GEDs and high school diploma through this program. So if I ask you if you could do anything, please fund this program so they could keep helping the community. And that's it. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. All right. So we are now at the point where we've gotten through the list I've been given of District 6 residents, so we'll move on to our fellow residents who are here but are not from District 6. We're going to start with Rachel Myers, Karina Zadi, and Joy Howard.
All right. Good evening. My name is Rachel Myers. I'm the manager of Discoveries, the library at the mall, one of 3 public libraries here in District 6. Every library exists to support and empower our county's residents. In just the past week, staff at my branch have presented programs about fraud and scams for seniors, created a safe place for our neurodivergent customers at our All Abilities meetup, hosted 7 regular kindergarten readiness story times, and served over 200 families at our community pantry, where we provided space for our community partners like Center of Help to distribute much needed information about local resources. Customers regularly comment on the resources available at the library, from our downloadable ebooks to our programs for all ages and a quiet space to work from home for those who need it. This evening, I wanted to provide an update about the expansion of Discoveries, which the county funded in this current budget cycle. So we are fortunate to get the support from you all to take on 2 additional vacant spaces at the mall. Construction will start soon, and we look forward to the additional space to enhance our current space and to meet the needs of our customers at the mall. We will be able to devote more space for quiet work for adults and accommodate more kids at storytime and other performances in our new, larger programming room. This is much needed support for our branch, where we have over 3,000 people at our programs each month and see the largest number of visits at all the libraries in our system. I wanted to thank you guys for your support, as always, for the library system's budget, including market rate adjustments over the past 2 years for our staff, and for your continued support of my location. We look forward to support as well in this budget cycle for the library's requests. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Karina Zadi. I'm a PBW here at Annapolis High School. I'm asking you to fully fund the public education budget by any means necessary. A 10% COLA and a 1-step increase will show educators the respect we deserve for our dedication to this county. We need to make AACPS a competitive school district where teachers want to work and stay. Please show your support by passing a budget that focuses on recruiting and retaining educators, as well as supporting educators, school staff, and students. High inflation impoverishes workers. Inflation increased 45.85% from 2009 to 2024, and our salaries increased only 22.57%. This means that teachers have lost 23.28% since 2009. Let me paraphrase this. What we can buy in a store today is 23.28% less than what we could buy in 2009. Through pay progression, AACPS can have more competitive salaries to minimize the loss of more educators. AACPS educators deserve to be paid competitively. If you say you value educators, you need to budget for COLA that exceeds inflation and start salary growth that will offset what we have lost, which is shockingly, again, 23.28% since 2009. Fully fund, please, the education budget and allocate funds for at least 10% COLA and 1-step increase. And I want to also advocate for social workers to be paid at the same rate as PPWs and school psychologists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We don't have our microphone person there. Good evening, Councilwoman Ravian, County Executive Pittman, and my fellow community members. My heart is full because I feel like I'm around my people who care, and I just love being here with you all today. My name is Joy Howard, and I'm here on behalf of the Bloom Collective to request $10,000 for funding our in-school experiential agriculture program at the new charter high school launching this fall. While our 501c3 application is being processed, we are currently under the umbrella of a local nonprofit to do this valuable community work. The program's core goal is to plant seeds for future careers and community health. We do this by offering charter high school students a hands-on multidisciplinary education in wellness, food systems, and agriculture innovation. And the charter part is important because right now there is a ban on food gardens at AACPS schools. Through activities like garden design, budget planning, and career exploration, students will acquire real-world skills and engage in solving critical issues such as making local food production more sustainable, especially in small or unconventional spaces. Where most students' understanding of food systems is limited to grocery store shelves and drive-thrus, this program will deepen their knowledge of fruit production, covering costs, recovering logistics, labor, and technology, and teach them how to build sustainable food systems in their suburban communities. Students will be challenged to become investigators and problem solvers in one of the most essential aspects of life, food. This funding will support phase 1 of the project, including garden materials and installation, staffing, and research efforts led by a partnering doctoral student conducting feasibility and evaluation studies. Councilwoman Ravian, as an educator, I imagine that you have witnessed the aha moments that blossom from by doing hands-on learning. Mr. Pittman, I'm sure you've learned a thing from your life living on the farm as well. And my community members, no matter how long ago you were a school-age student, I'm sure you can easily imagine the joy of earning high school credit while harvesting basil for a food processing demo with a local restaurant owner on your school's rooftop garden. I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we're going to have Leah Paley, Joe Adavanola, and John Corin.
Good evening, Leah Paley, CEO of the Anne Arundel County Food Bank. Thank you so much. This is number 7 for me, just as many as you. Thank you so much. It really has been a pleasure attending all of these and hearing from all of the constituents about the very compelling needs. And as I've said before, I know that you have some very difficult decisions to make after this evening, and there's a lot of needs out there. And we're here to just request that you maintain the current level of support for the Anne Arundel County Food Bank. I've spoken in previous town halls about the current need. There's over 61,000 residents experiencing food insecurity. That's 30% more than it was the year before. We're averaging over 51,000 instances of assistance each month. That's up 6% from the year before, 19% more than it was 2 years ago at this time. Food insecurity isn't going away, and we want to continue to provide our neighbors experiencing food insecurity with resources so that they can fill their bellies, they can go to school not hungry, they can go to work and be successful, and they can continue to contribute as members of our county. So we thank the county for your support. We are not only asking for flat funding. We definitely anticipate we're going to have an increased budget, but our organization's working hard to diversify our resources so that we can meet that growing need. And we appreciate all that the county has done and continues to do to partner with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Councilwoman Ravine and County Exec Pittman. My name is Joe Devanola, President of Anne Arundel County Professional Firefighters, representing close to 1,000 brave men and women that put their life on the line every day. I've been coming to these town halls for the last 10 years, and not once have I come here with my hand out asking for money. We put our uniform on and protect the citizens of Anne Arundel County in life or death situations. Our profession is very dangerous, and our family knows that when we answer that 911 call, it could be our last. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how many broken bones or operations I've had in my career, or the members that I represent battling cancer right now from job-related illnesses. But what I will say tonight is what I've been saying for 21 years. Our job is getting more dangerous every day, and one of the reasons is because we are severely understaffed. We are approximately 500 positions short to meet the National Fire Protection Association minimum staffing requirements of 4 firefighters on an apparatus. In fact, out of 31 fire stations, we meet that standard in only 4 fire stations in the county. Every jurisdiction around us goes out the door with a minimum of 4 firefighters. Your last podcast with our fire chief, the two of you agreed on what the standard is and that the SAFER grant through the federal government would help our department's staffing level. This grant has awarded millions of dollars to surrounding departments every year to help staff their apparatus properly. Please, tell me why you and our fire chief are not applying for this grant that will pay 100% of new firefighter salaries for the first 3 years. Thank you.
Good evening, friends, all y'all. John Corrin, Bicycle Advocates for Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. We speak for people who choose to walk and bike, and we speak for people who have no choice but to walk and bike in order to safely get around. We are grateful for the full embrace and the partnership of the county in embracing multimodal transportation in Plan 2040 and Move Anne Arundel, in Walk and Roll Anne Arundel, in safe routes to school assessments, and so forth. We're also grateful that the capital budget has applied significant funds to projects that are part of the Anne Arundel Trail Network, which you have also embraced. We're grateful that we have some level of activity at every segment of the envisioned Anne Arundel Trail Network, but I have to say that we are frustrated with the pace at which projects move from plan to study to design and to a ribbon cutting. It's simply taking too long, which makes it cost more than it needs to. It's caused us to leave grants behind, and we've done together a tremendous amount of grant acquisition. So my ask is, I can see the symptoms of the problem. Take a look at it. I don't know if we're understaffed, if there's issues with our processes, oversight, coordination with the state, but my sense is we need more staff applied to grant pursuit, grant management, and project management to get these projects completed. And so we've got to make sure Public Works, Recreation, and Parks have the staffing they need to do this. And then finally, about 50 people in Anne Arundel County are killed on our roads every year, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists. Let's put a little more investment into making the county safer. If I could, I'll end with a pop quiz. Why can't a bicycle balance by itself? It's too tired. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Stephen Waddy, and then Teresa Thomas and Benjamin Tuck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Waddy with the Anne Arundel County NAACP. It's good to see you again. Last week, I was a little flustered by all that went on with Donald Trump blaming the plane crash on black people. But I did have remarks, and I want to read them to you guys today. So thank you for hosting this budget town hall. We have been presenting at these town halls for a few years now, and thank you, Mr. County Executive, for providing an open process for the community to participate in their government. It's better than what's happening at the federal level. The NAACP has a few priorities regarding the county budget. The county must include policy riders on budget requests by county agencies to address employment discrimination we've seen in this county, which the NAACP has engaged in legal battles with the county for several years over, not just in policing and fire, but also definitely in the Office of Law. Our priorities are based on the feedback of our members and the issues that the state and national organization have incorporated into our national mission. First, we need to see Asha Smith and the Office of Equity and Human Rights getting more help. We talked about the Trump administration's Reagan-like response to inflation, which happened after Jimmy Carter's administration. This is what the National Low-Income Housing Coalition stated about the new Washington Consensus. Withholding federal funding would deny states and local governments key resources used to provide rental assistance, to help low-income households afford their homes, build and preserve affordable rental housing, and maintain public housing for other affordable housing for millions of seniors. So we need that office to be able to have the funding to deal with any civil rights issues. It is the most important civil rights office in this county now that we're seeing civil rights being shut down at the federal level. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Shorty here. Hi, my name is Teresa Thomas. I'm a public school teacher for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Can everybody hear me? This is my second year as a special education teacher, and I have to say it's been my hardest yet. I dreamed to be an elementary school teacher when I was younger, but the magnitude of challenges I faced this year has been impossible. For example, I'll give you some numbers. I have a classroom, but I won't tell you how many kids I have. I have students with 4 feeding protocols, 4 elopers, 1 child who's in a wheelchair bound that requires a 2-person lift, 1 student with a seizure protocol, and all students vary with multiple disabilities and autism. Does anybody want to take how many guesses how many students I have in my class? Any? No? Anybody else? I actually have 8. But because of all their needs, we need enough support staff. But we have been through a high turnover of staff since the beginning of the school year. The TSAs are not being paid enough. They're not familiar with what they're getting into. They have to change children in adult-sized diapers. You have to chase children and try to prevent them from running to the street or outside of the school. That's my job, guys. Running shoes required. It's very challenging. So I'm asking that you please fully fund Anne Arundel County Public School teachers and the whole Board of Education. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Tuck. I'm a foreign languages teacher here at Annapolis High School, former 27-year resident of District 6, and I am no longer a resident because as a teacher, I'm not paid enough to live in Annapolis anymore. I've had to move to the outskirts to Crofton. And I'm rising to speak to urge you to fully fund the Anne Arundel County Public School budget in order so that we can continue to provide excellent support for our students, so that we can provide wraparound social services, so that we can provide mental health counseling, as well as our PPW and social workers, so that we can continue to provide a safe place for students for after-school activities. In the past just 2 months alone, we have lost 5 staff members at Annapolis High School, and they have not been fully replaced. And it is in part because we are not paid as professionals, we are not given the respect or the proper working conditions that we deserve. So I'd ask that you go beyond fully funding the Anne Arundel County Public Schools budget and pay us a salary that is competitive with neighboring counties such as Prince George's County. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right, we've got about 5 minutes to the scheduled close of this. I've still got 6 of you that are signed up, so we're going to call you up. But if you could try to be concise, that would be awesome. But won't cut you off at this point. So we've got Brenna McKee, Jennifer Stivers, and Abigail Paul. And I don't care what order you come up.
Good evening, County Executive Pittman and Councilwoman Rodvian. I am Jennifer Stivers, an animal care and control volunteer for almost 8 years. I am here to support animal care and control's separation into its own department and the administrator's proposed budget, including increased staffing. Most of all, I encourage you to begin planning for a new shelter. The existing facility was built in 2000 before the Association of Shelter Veterinarians was founded in 2001 and published guidelines for standards of care in animal shelters, last updated in 2022. Here are a few snippets from the widely accepted guidelines. Facilities should be designed to offer as much natural light as possible for circadian rhythm, among other reasons. Primary enclosures with indoor-outdoor access are ideal for most animals, especially when held long-term. Cats should not be handled within spatial, visual, or auditory range of dogs. And animal care and control is creative with space, but the existing shelter building is simply not suitable to meet these guidelines. Cat areas do not have natural light other than a very small window on the cat gallery's main entrance. The main dog gallery has some natural light, but the other 2 dog rooms do not. None of the dog enclosures give dogs freedom to choose outdoor access, forcing very housebroken dogs to potty in their kennels. Cats and dogs have little separation overall and are just mere feet from each other during intake. Cats usually travel through the dog isolation area to enter the main cat gallery from other areas of the shelter. Thank you for supporting our requests and helping us provide a modernized standard of care to the county's homeless pet population.
Thank you. All right. Okay. I'm going to assume that.
I'm Abigail Paul, and I'm good.
All right. We appreciate that. I've got 3 other people on my list, but we will have a time afterward where we will still give you a chance to talk, I promise. Next I have Janet Fox, Tracy Piet. There it is. You're next. And then Maria Cote.
Good evening. My name is Janet Fox. I've been an occupational therapist for 34 years, with the last 25 in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I'm here to ask for the school budget to be fully funded. I understand in the past why additional positions were not funded, and at that time it was probably financially a responsible thing to do. However, we need positions to be fully funded so they can be filled. Having additional teachers, especially special educators and related service providers, greatly impacts meeting the needs of students, staff, schools, and our communities. Some special educators are asked to provide 90 hours of student service in a 37.5-hour work week. This is impossible to do. We can only hire teachers and related service providers if the positions are funded. We must offer incentives to attract and retain teachers. We must provide working conditions that are safe and allow teachers to be effective in meeting the individual needs of each student. Funding positions now will have a positive impact on the future of our schools. When raising my own children, I would say to them, saying no isn't always the easiest thing to do, but in some cases, it is the right thing to do. Tonight, I'm asking you to do the difficult task of saying no to some things so the right thing, fully funding Dr. Bedell's budget, can be done. Fully funding the school budget is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tracy Petramica, and I'm an occupational therapist with the Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I'm also the parent of two students. I have a freshman in high school and a 7th grader. I want to say that I'm proud that my kids are receiving their education here in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I've attended several of the budget meetings, and I've looked around, and I've seen people who have made a difference in my world. I've seen a speech therapist at these meetings who helped my daughter speak more clearly. I see my daughter's former teachers here tonight who worked really hard. She's neurodivergent. She's a force to be reckoned with, but they've all worked so hard to help her be successful in the schools. If you take a look around this room, this was more appropriate about an hour ago, you would see that teachers were grading papers and emailing parents and emailing students. They're doing this on their time off. And it's not just tonight, it's every night. Working in the schools is kind of hard right now. We have a lot of behaviors. We're understaffed. What the teachers go through is really difficult. I just want to say that I want every child in this county to have the same amazing education that my kids have had. And that only happens when teachers are fully funded and paid a wage that doesn't require them to work 2nd and 3rd jobs.
Hi, how are you? Maria Cote, Bates Middle School. You've already heard it, right? Fund everything. That means somebody's got to get taxed more. It can't be the teachers. I already can't afford to buy stuff off of Netflix or for a Kindle. That's why I use the library. Thank you. I don't have my card. Yeah. I just got Mad Men Season 1 to start the whole binge. So the bottom line is that there's too much to fund and not enough people are paying appropriate taxes. You mentioned at the Arundel thing that taxpayers in the 50s were paying 74% tax on their incomes, and now they're down to 37%. That's the reason that we were able to grow in that time, and we're not going to be able to return to it until the people who are making the most money are paying their fair share, not going over on our backs as we struggle, like people have said, working 2-3 jobs, trying to get through everything, not being able to afford to live in the county because everything is too expensive. So pay your fair share. That's all we're asking. Thank you.
All right. So that's the end of the list that I was provided.
And you can go to fairsharemaryland.org and get involved in the effort to do exactly what you're saying in Maryland. Please do.
Yeah. And if there's anyone else that waited here this long, we will definitely let you speak if you want to line up and do so.
Good evening. I'm Jane Cease, a 25-year resident of Anne Arundel County, an immigrant, and also the executive director of the Anne Arundel County Literacy Council. You already heard tonight from one of our volunteers and one of our students. So I just wanted to mention some of the things that our programs do and ask for your support through the Community Grant Program to continue to implement and grow our programs. Our students work with tutors to get a high school diploma, develop skills to get a job or a better paying job, qualify for training and education programs like those at AACC, pass the ASVAB military entrance exam and enter the military, speak and understand English, become citizens or live independently. And all of these things happen every year. Our services are all free, including books, tutoring, and assessments, and our tutors and staff are volunteers. Last year, they donated more than 16,000 hours in our communities. We also tutor at Jennifer Road Detention Center and Ordnance Road Correctional Center, and we're helping a fast-growing number of immigrants improve their English. Thanks to our tutoring program, students are empowered to participate in their children's education, get better jobs, and contribute to our community and economy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. One last call for anyone else. All right, well, we will move. Sorry, I am. Okay. She was on the list, so it's not really a last call.
It's been such a long night. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to kind of reiterate, all of the, obviously, Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control volunteers urging for a new shelter. Just a couple of really quick facts. One is when animals first come into the shelter in the first few days that they're there, their cortisol levels, stress levels, are 3 times the amount of animals who are not in the shelter. The construction, I cordially invite you to come and see the shelter and see the progress of the construction. I understand it's necessary. The past few days it's been incredibly stressful on the animals, so not only the increased noise levels inside the shelter that we've all talked about, but outside of the shelter has caused a lot of stress to the animals. And as a disabled vet, I am almost every day one step away from being one of the 22, and I can tell you that it's incredibly important to have a shelter to be able to volunteer in and to be able to provide these animals. These animals don't have a voice. We loved showing you the cute picture of Emmy, and it's a great success story. We have a lot of not success stories of animals who are abused and abandoned who come into the shelter, and we do everything we can to take care of them and provide them shelter, food, water, and love. And having a new shelter would just greatly increase our ability to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I will very quickly remind you that if you think of anything else, again, at the back of Chris's slides, it's budget-comments@aacounty.org. It all gets looked at, it all gets read and compiled and given to them as they make their final decisions. And without taking any more of your time, I'll pass it over to Councilwoman Robin for closing remarks.
I really just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight and reminding me why I love District 6 and why I love Anne Arundel County and the people that live here. You guys warm my heart with the things that you advocate for, and I will do everything I can to be your voice in this budget.
I don't want to say much either, but except for thank you. It's really, really important for the people making decisions to feel a lot of pressure and a lot of stress over it because the needs are so great. And I will second what the educator came up and said earlier about revenue, that obviously we can't do this without more revenue. I've been testifying on bills in the General Assembly to allow counties to tax higher income folks at higher levels. And the governor has put forward, he's been brave enough to put forward, call it a millionaire's tax or whatever you want. It's only 0.5%, 0.75%. It's really small, but he's being attacked by people who say that it's going to make everybody flee Maryland, and we know the statistics show that's not true. But with this incredible cut of, 33% cut in income taxes for the top earners in America, from the time when we were really growing to the time when we created a bunch of debt, to the time when $50 trillion was transferred to the top 1% from the bottom 9% in that period. It's not rocket science. We need to go where the money is. It's up there. We need to go up and grab it. So please join me in fighting for that. And I'm sitting here next to a sister who agrees with me on most things. We will continue to try to figure this out and figure out a way to do it. But it's rough. So thank you.